Hello, I have good news. We have acquired new art. Really? I didn't know that we hired a new artist after we fired the last one. What is this? I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. Right, okay, but it just looks a little off. I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. Okay, I understand the boss says it's okay, but do you not see what's going on here? Why it looks a little odd? I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. Right, I understand that, but he's got 6 fingers. Like, who drew this? I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. Did anyone draw this? Is this AI generated? I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. I understand that the boss says it's okay, but if this is AI generated, that's a big problem because we just fired a bunch of artists and one of them could have been paid to draw this. I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. Why is that your only response? I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. Did they replace you with AI too? I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. I do not know, but the boss says it is okay. You know, contrary to popular belief, I'm not a big fan of making videos like this because my ideal situation when it comes to gaming is going to the store, buying a game, putting the disc in the console, and playing the game and just enjoying everything that was put together by the developers. The story, the gameplay loop, the voice acting, all of that lumped into one nice little experience. But I feel like at a certain point, I'm not going to be able to buy any modern games because they're all going to do something that stands against something that I believe in very firmly. And if you couldn't tell by the little opening sketch, we're talking about the whole AI situation with Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and why, until Activision in one way or another addresses this, I'm not going to be playing Black Ops 6 anymore. So let's talk about it. Actually, no, before we talk about this, I want to mention that if you're here to leave a comment saying that I'm virtue signaling because I'm saying I'm not playing any Activision games until they address this AI situation, kind of in the same way a lot of people left comments that I was virtue signaling by boycotting PlayStation Publishing for their horrible anti-consumer practices, then sure. If standing up for the rights of developers, voice actors, artists, and of course gamers is virtue signaling to you, then that's your opinion. It's stupid and painting a very broad-stroked opinion onto a very nuanced topic, but hopefully this video changes your opinion, but if it doesn't, then Godspeed. Anyway, with that out of the way, to catch anybody up who isn't aware of what's going on, Call of Duty has released the Merry Mayhem pack, which is like a holiday-themed pack for Black Ops 6, and people noticed that there were some things that were kind of off with a few of the unlockables. Chief among which were these 3, the animated little player card here, the zombie Santa, and this glove handing out gobblegums. If you take a look, can you see what's wrong? If you can't figure it out, let me make it clear for you. The human body has 5 fingers on each hand unless you've had a horrible accident or you were born with a defect. And unless this zombie and this thing wearing gloves and this zombie all had horrible accidents or birth defects, then, well, they have the wrong number of fingers. Now, to be fair, I've seen misdrawn hands on other things before. One of my favorite examples is the opening for Steins Gate Zero, where in the original opening, Kurisu was drawn with 6 fingers, and that was fixed by like episode 2 or 3, and it was never a problem going forward. It happens. As an artist, hands are very difficult to draw. I'm not a good artist to begin with, and if you told me to draw a hand or die, I'd probably end up dying. But in the case of Steins Gate Zero, this was a mistake that was made in an animation, which means that there are multiple images being drawn at once, and it was just passed over somehow. And I know when it comes to the way that anime is made, it's not exactly the highest quality control or the lightest pressure on the artist, so I could see how that could slip through. But for it to slip 3 times on still images, with the exception of this animated one, I feel like either your QA team is not that great or you're doing something else, and that something else is AI-generated art, because one of the biggest, most notable telltale signs of AI-generated art is that it struggles with hands. But like I said, Activision hasn't addressed this, so we really don't know for certain, and that's a pretty big problem, because unless Activision comes out and says, hey, yeah, our QA team slipped, and we kind of let out some less than ideal art from these artists, then most people are going to assume, based on the available evidence, that you are AI generating art and releasing it to the public as new content. And that has some horrible implications in terms of what it could mean for the gaming industry. And just to be clear, I personally don't think that every application of AI is a bad thing. Like this effect here, which is my interpretation of an Activision shareholder's wet dream, was done with an AI tool called Magnetic Mask. It basically takes the tedious process of rotoscoping me out of this background and kind of automates it using machine learning. Another example is the subtitles that you may or may not have already been reading in this video. These subtitles are AI generated because it's taking the content that I have already made, or in this case, am in the process of making, and it takes what I've said and turns it into text. And it's not perfect, so I have to go in and fix it, but it is something that is an automated process that makes my life significantly easier. And with the magnetic mask, this is what it looks like if I just told it to mask me out. There's nothing behind me, so I have to put a background and whatever other effect I want to have put behind me, and that's not something the AI will do for me. The tools that I've just shown you are, in this case, a means to an end, or a tool that makes getting to the end product easier. It is not something that provides me with a finished product. I feel like if an AI tool helps an artist get to the end product in a way that is more convenient, but still allows for that quality, that's where it can be at its best. And even that is a bit of a slippery slope. But for the tools that I've mentioned, like the AI-generated subtitles, where it's not perfect and I still have to go in and correct a few things, or the magnetic mask, where it's good, but I still have to do a bunch of work to actually make the finished product look good, those are okay. But I feel like when it comes to AI-generated art, you're just telling a computer to take ideas and art styles from other artists who have spent years honing that art style and perfecting it to what they think is the best of their ability, and just telling the AI to copy it and make it into something that looks good enough, but a few mistakes might slip through here and there, like giving it 7 fingers. Now, I know that's just my opinion on the AI-generated art thing. I don't think that an artist who has spent years honing their craft deserves to have it taken by an AI and spat out in some half-assed copy that looks close enough with some errors. But the AI-generated art is only half of what people are kind of really having a problem with when it comes to Activision, because the other half is when it comes to the voice actors in the games. So something else that's making people look at this art and assume that it's AI generated is not just the telltale signs of the art, but also some things that Activision has been doing in the background that have recently come to light. Specifically, voice actors in the Call of Duty series leaving the projects because there is no AI protection in their contracts. Now, what this means is that if you are a voice actor in a Call of Duty game and you want to be able to continue performing the role as the character, these companies can take your voice lines and take whatever you've said into a microphone in their studio and feed it to an AI model that can then replicate it and do the acting for you, so that they don't have to pay you to come in and continue playing that role. This has become such a big deal that Nolan North, the voice actor for Richtofen in the Call of Duty Zombies part of the franchise, has actually threatened to leave because of it. And that is a huge deal. I mean, in general, voice actors leaving because there is no AI protection in their contract is a big deal, but the fact that you have Nolan North, who has been voicing Richtofen since the beginning of the character till now, has threatened to leave because you are not telling them that you are not going to copy their voice with AI is wild to me. I mean, hell, they already recast the voice actor for Sam in Citadel de Morts, so what's to say that that's not going to keep happening if you keep telling artists and voice actors that they are not necessary because AI can handle it better? It's probably not a big secret, but a lot of people, including myself, believe that this is all just being done for the sake of saving money. We've already seen over 14,000, I think 14,600 at the time of recording, game developers in the industry get laid off. It is horrible. And the fact that these developers are being laid off, but yet AI art is being used where artists could have been hired instead to be paid a fair wage to make content is in horrible taste and frankly disgusting. And I've personally seen firsthand companies really screwing themselves over for the sake of saving a few dollars because the bean counters end up being in charge. I used to work at Best Buy, and during the 2020s, when an unspecified virus of unknown origin swept across the United States, they shut everything down. We had almost no employees in the store. They furloughed a ton of people, and I can talk about this because I didn't sign an NDA, so Corey Berry, if you want to come after me, you can go f*** yourself. But they ended up furloughing a ton of people and basically running every store on a skeleton crew and leaning heavily into online purchasing. And they saw a huge rise in revenue, not sales, revenue. And that's the key thing. This is where things kind of started to implode in the case of Best Buy because they wouldn't bring back certain people, and those people just got fired. And as stores began to reopen, they continued to run the stores on a skeleton crew because when you start bringing people back, you have to pay those people. And when you have to pay those people, the amount of revenue left over goes down. So you're just not going to bring those people back so you can keep making all that sweet, sweet money. Add to that the fact that you're no longer going to specialize employees in certain areas. You're just going to have everybody know everything, and so the quality of care overall goes down. Remove benefits that really brought customers into your store. Remove benefits that kept customers happy. Remove benefits that made employees happy. And just keep pulling away things that make money and ignore the unhappiness of everybody around you because the number go up or stay the same. When I used to work Black Fridays over at Best Buy, we would literally put up what I would call the cattle grates at least a week in advance of Black Friday because the lines we would get were so massive that we needed those to channel the line away from foot traffic and even road traffic because people were stupid enough to try to form a line in the middle of the road. The point is, when I went over this last year, they didn't have the cattle grates because they anticipated such a small number of people for Black Friday that they felt like it wasn't necessary. And all of this is because Best Buy is being run by a CEO and bean counters who saw that during COVID, when they had no one in the store and no one to pay to run the stores, that they suddenly made more money. And instead of taking that as a weird anomaly and then going back to taking care of their employees and making them happy to come to work so that they would make the customers happy to buy things, which would then generate more money, they just kept not paying people and kept reducing things that cost money until now the quality of every customer experience in that store is absolute garbage. And so taking that personal experience of mine and looking at what's going on in the game industry, I can see a parallel because these artists want to go in, get paid a fair wage to make these skins for their guns or player cards or whatever the case may be. And these developers want to go in and make 3D models and animations that are going to look awesome in a video game. And they want to develop a good game. These writers want to develop a good story for a video game, and everybody has to work together. The actors want to perform their best performances, and all of them want to get paid fairly for it, which will, if you don't make a good product, cut into your revenue at the end of the year. But if you let the artists, the actors, the writers, the developers all put in their best work, and in Activision's case, not force them to shit out a product every single year, you will make something good, you will give the gamer a reason to buy it, and you can then see big money number go up. But no, instead of doing that, instead of not releasing a game every year, but releasing a game when everybody I just mentioned has put in their best work to make a high quality product, you want to go the easy route and not hire artists, but ask AI to do it instead, and not protect voice actors from AI, but instead, if the actors ask for a little too much money, or maybe don't really go along with what you want, you can just get rid of them without actually getting rid of the voice, because you can just generate it with AI, and that is fucking disgusting. And with Activision being such a big name in the gaming industry, if they can get away with this, if they can release AI-generated slop to the customers, and the customers just eat it up like it's any other content, this is going to have massive implications across the gaming industry. This is going to set a horrible precedent, because if they, a massive company, can fire a ton of developers, a ton of artists, and a bunch of voice actors and still release products that look good enough because AI did it, then who's to say that Bungie won't do it? Who's to say that, I don't know, Bethesda or Microsoft as a whole isn't going to do it? And actually, now that I think of it, because of Activision's whole position with Microsoft, Microsoft kind of is doing it already. Normally, I would say that I hope that Activision comes out and says that this was just an artist's mistake, or even something intentional. I've seen people say that the 6 fingers on the glove was because of Black Ops 6, but that doesn't explain the 4-fingered zombie or the 7-fingered glove holding the gobblegums. Normally, I would say that that's what I hope for. I would also potentially say that in a not as great scenario, this was done by AI, but they're gonna listen to the complaints of everybody I've just talked about and do better next time. But I'm reminded of a story I heard from Marty O'Donnell when Bungie was being bought by Activision. And Marty has a saying called, "Be kind to the golden goose," meaning that it's not the golden egg that you need to care about. That's the benefit that comes from the goose. But the goose is what gave you the golden egg, meaning that you need to treat the goose well, because if you don't treat the goose well, then it's not going to survive and you're not going to get the golden egg. And he said this to a bunch of Activision executives, and one of them told him, "But there is nothing quite like a good foie gras." And so at the end of the day, what I'm getting from that story and what is potentially going on here with the AI-generated art in Black Ops 6, Activision really doesn't care how they make their money or how the end product comes out, because they will have the money and now with AI the means to replace you. And as long as the customer keeps buying up the product and not caring how it's made, they aren't going to care who makes it. And that is frankly disgusting to me. Artists of any kind, actors, writers, actual artists drawing art, animators, developers, 3D artists, everybody deserves to be paid fairly for the work that they put in. If it's shit work, you're gonna get shit pay. But if you spend your life honing a craft and making the best art that you can, you deserve to be paid as best as possible for the best art possible. And AI is kind of coming in to undermine a lot of that, and that disgusts me. So yeah, unless Activision addresses this situation in a way that benefits gamers, developers, artists, and voice actors, and starts hiring voice actors with AI protection in their contracts, or really just hiring everybody whose job could technically be replaced with AI and hiring them with a contract that protects them from that, I can't support them or their games. So call it virtue signaling if you want, but I feel very strongly about that, and I hope you do too, because imagine if whatever you do for a living was replaced with AI or a robot. I mean, hell, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory did that with Charlie's dad, all the way back with the weirder Tim Burton one. It's a tale that's very old, but becoming more and more real as technology gets better and the years go on. So I'm just here to stand against any unethical uses of it, and this is one that I am standing very strongly against. So let me know what you all think in the comments. Hopefully you all agree, or at least have some thoughts that are more rational than just me virtue signaling, or you don't care, let the AI replace them, which is frankly gross. But either way, that's been it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you did enjoy this video. And if you did, maybe leave a like or subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I've got quite a few other things coming out, and I'm really excited for a lot of the stuff that I'm working on. I've been kind of on a creative roll recently, so I will see you all in the next video. Again, leave some comments letting me know what you all think, and until then, I hope to see you all in the next video. Make sure to be there, and have a good one.